Voice, Paul Rogers, September 29th. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. By Jet Closing, buying a home. Jet Closing can save you time, money, and stress. Visit jetclosing.com today. And of course, by Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. Well, the Mariners wrapping up the series here today against the Dodgers. The rubber game of the series. Happy you can be with us as we are beginning to approach first pitch. We hand things out to the guys, the sunshine. And you know, Brad, just to follow up the point, pretty good source here, the great at Colin O'Keefe. Perfect games in Major League history, 23. Walk-off box in big league history, 22. Yes, you're all over this.
Yes, and you are correct, my friend. More perfect games than walk-off balks. Second one for the Mariners last night in the 10th inning. Bases loaded. You don't expect it. You hardly ever see it again every 14 years if you're a Mariners fan here. Let's take a look at it to show, well, Aaron and Mike, because they missed it, our Columbia Bank difference of the game. Here it is again. Floro on the mound. The left knee, slight buckle, Bill. It was the right call, even though no deception, right?
They got it right. It was a judgment call. I give Andy Fletcher credit for picking up on this knee buckle, and that means you must go forward. You buckle that knee, you got to go forward, or it is a balk. I couldn't see anything as far his hands changing direction, but you see it right there. Clear as day, there was a buckle. I don't know if you can see that in live action, but nonetheless, I love it because it's a judgment call, Brad. Baseball just needs more judgment calls. I'm tired of replay determining everybody's fate. I love having the ups and downs and nuances of the game determined by the human element, because it's a microcosm of life, and it went right for the Mariners, which makes it even better.
And Nelson Cruz was on it first.
Yes, he was.
He was campaigning.
Do you think maybe he influenced it a
Fletcher
little bit?
a little bit. He's always screaming balk, and he got it right. And now the Mariners going up against Kershaw, looking for a series win, getting you closer to first pitch. Aaron and Mike on the other side of the break. Enjoy.
To left field, there it goes. There goes deep. He slides in, he's safe. It is a gorgeous day here in Seattle. We've got the rubber game for you. The Mariners and the Dodgers from inside Safeco Field. The sun is out, the roof is open. What a perfect day to be at the ballpark as Roenis Elias gets the ball today for the Mariners, activated from the disabled list. Pitching for the first time since the final days of July, as he will face this Dodgers lineup with some new faces in it over the last month or so.
With still a lot of power for the Dodgers. They are first in home runs and slugging in the National League. Brian Dozier will lead things off the former Twin. Justin Turner hitting second in the lineup. He has been hot lately. A 12-game hitting streak. He also homered in last night's ball game. And Cody Bellinger, his 20th home run last night. He is going to hit 5th in the lineup. For Elias, a 2.88 ERA, 2-0 record on the year, 18 strikeouts in the 25 innings he has worked. Opponents hitting 253. The defense for the Mariners. Guillermo Heredia will get the start in center field. D. Gord, his 3rd game in a row at shortstop. Still Segura out. Chris Herman will do the catching.
Pretty strong shades game from D today, I would say, Mike. No flip downs for D. Gordon. Much Edgar inspired it looks like. As you can see, the last time out for Oenis, just the 1 inning, 1 hit, 13 pitches, and we knew this coming into today, Mike, when the decision was made to move Marco Gonzalez back and get him some added rest. This would be a bullpen day for Scott Service.
Yeah, Marco is going to get the start on Wednesday afternoon, help him out a couple of extra days. And for Elias, I think probably 3, maybe 4 innings from him today, and pretty much everybody in the bullpen.
Ball and a strike to Brian Dozier. You've seen Dozier for years in Minneapolis with the Twins. Now holding down second base for the Dodgers.
3 home runs with the Dodgers.
The 1-1 from Elias. A strike. Now, this is a really big series on both sides. The Dodgers, for all the talent on their roster, for so much payroll that they have coming into this season, and a lot of moves to the deadline to try to bolster this lineup. Into center field. Heredia lays it on a hop. Dozier, leadoff single. Take a look at the standings in the West, and 2 games separating the top 3 teams. Of course, we will be seeing the Diamondbacks on the upcoming road trip. Mariners have seen plenty of the Rockies this year. And the Dodgers now 2 games outside of first place. And they're looking for their first series win in the month of August.
We mentioned it earlier. All these series are critical for the Mariners. The month of August, a difficult part of the schedule for them. Continue to hang in there, 3.5 back. For Elias, his average fastball at 94 miles an hour. His best pitch has been his curveball this year, but an improved changeup for him. Justin Turner in the last 10 games for him. Again, a 12-game hitting streak, but he has been hot. Opponent's hitting just 050 off of the curveball for Elias, but I think his changeup is an improved pitch for him. His velocity has been good. At times he'll touch 96 miles an hour.
You know, strange hearing you say that, Mike, is when Elias was still down in Tacoma. This was, of course, months ago at this point, before he had come up for the first time this year. When talking with Mel Stottlemyre Jr., of course, Mariners pitching coach, almost kind of joking with Mel, saying, well, I know we're going to be seeing Roenis soon, and we know he's got that great curveball, right, Mel? And Mel was quick to say, well, it's actually the changeup that's been a better pitch for him this year than the curveball, which was kind of almost unbelievable. But that has been the case in some ways.
Separation on his changeup is getting better. Again, his fastball at 94. His changeup average is 88. We've already seen it today, 85, 86. I just thought he had a strike right there, but he missed the outside corner. These are the types of counts that you want to stay away from with the Dodgers. With all the power that they have, they are 10th in hitting, but 1st in home runs, 2nd in doubles. So they'll try to take advantage of mistakes. Certainly have seen that in this series from Machado.
Turner thought he took ball 4, instead 3-1. Turner, a pretty serious injury during spring training, fractured wrist. They're taking a pitch off his hand. He's back healthy now and swinging as hot of a bat as he has all season. First 2-man reach. Single and now a walk. Dozier into second. Turner aboard.
And missed with the changeup. A little bit surprised to see the changeup. Thought maybe he would challenge him with another fastball on the outside corner. Bounced the changeup. 88. First 2 men aboard. Nobody out here is Machado.
His numbers in total this season, of course, with Baltimore, than a deadline deal coming over to the Dodgers before the deadline, in fact. Right up the middle, hard hit base hit. Dozier will get held at third. Heredia gets to him medium depth center. And the first 3 men are aboard. The bags are packed for Matt Kemp.
Fastball, middle of the plate, inside out swing, solid line drive back up the middle. Mara Supermo barrels it up.
Now, what a first half it was for Kemp. He had 310, was an all-star. Second half has not been quite as kind to him. He's hitting 193 since the break. Only 5 extra base hits, but batting here with nobody out of the bases loaded in the top of the first. Good stop by Herman. Keeps Dozier put at third. Chris Herman getting the start today behind home. The career numbers for Kemp with the bags packed this year with runners in scoring position, batting .370. One and one.
And the changeup at 88 miles an hour. EQC Tracer had it just out of the strike zone. Basically wants to start that pitch on the plate and have it be down out of the zone to get him to chase it.
Ahead 1-2.
Staying with the changeup. 3 in a row. Aaron, you mentioned Chris Herman behind the dish today for Elias. I think this is where you'll see where that confidence is and how well they're working together, because typically he will throw his curveball right here in this count and try to bounce it. This is with a fastball away. His curveball is his best pitch. And now it's full.
Now Bellinger on deck. He is swinging as hot of a bat as anyone in the game right now. We saw that late last night. And here we go. Bases loaded. The 3-2. Rolled over. A fair ball. Seager coming home with it. Herman steps on the dish. 1 out.
Backhanded play by Kyle Seager at third. Primera Supermo right over the corner of the base backhand. If Kyle has any sort of angle, he actually had to throw it over the head of the base runner. Herman making sure that he touches home plate, a good idea. Difficult play for Kyle. Ball can sail on you. Great concentration from Herman, who had his mask on. That also can be a problem at times. Force out.
Now here's Bellinger. Drops down, ground ball through the right side. Turner is in to score. Machado coming around. The throw is cut by Healy onto third. Safe there. 2-0 Los Angeles.
Bellinger being aggressive. First pitch, fastball, only middle in. Sidearm fastball, Primera Supermo, and the swing by Bellinger. He stays hot. That base hit into right.
Now Bellinger entered today batting .423 in the month of August, the highest average of any batter. One out, runners on the corners, 2 in. Here's Kike Hernandez, who looks at strike 1.
Good curveball for us, right?
Well, an update from the Coliseum, where Matt Chapman has hit a solo home run for the A's. They lead Justin Verlander and the Astros 1-0 in the first inning. Good pitching matchup in that one. Verlander and Sean Manaea. Again to first. Now Leah's going on the disabled list with kind of a freak injury. Injured his tricep in the weight room before a game. They didn't know until after the game was over with that it was as big of a concern, at least a big enough concern to put him on the DL.
About it, we mentioned with Elias that he is going to be limited today, and thought maybe 3 or 4 innings, but this will be his 20th pitch here in this inning.
Meanwhile, Kershaw waiting his turn. Already a 2-0 advantage. And you're right, Mike, no matter what happens, even if Elias can get out of this inning quickly, it has already taken a toll on him.
I'm a bit surprised to see him throw his changeup as much as he has. There's a curveball.
He goes 2-2.
Typically, he will throw his curveball more than his changeup, but that has not been the case in the first. More changeups.
Bellinger taken off. Well, possible reasons for that. No way for us to know for sure, but hard to think that he doesn't have the feel for the curveball, right?
He hasn't really thrown it enough to find out. I think that you look at this at bat right here. He starts him off with a curveball for a strike. Was a good pitch, and then he ends up getting a swinging strike on a curveball. That last curveball he left in the middle of the plate. He wants the ball to be down at the bottom of the strike zone. It's also his best ground ball pitch is his curveball. So starting to use it a little bit more.
You would love a ground ball here. Another 2-2. Slapped into left field. Kemp trots home. Bellinger a wide turn at second base and gets back to the bag. Kike Hernandez with a run scoring base hit. It's 3-0 Dodgers. An early visit for Mel.
Well, this is going to be the fastball. It's right in the middle of the plate. It's his best fastball so far at 95 miles an hour, but the location wasn't where he wanted it. He wanted it on the outside corner. You can see he's a little bit frustrated by it.
So 23 pitches, just 1 out, and a 3-0 Los Angeles lead. And former Mariner Chris Taylor comes to the plate. Taylor, a former 5th-round draft pick by the Mariners. He has come down to earth some from his remarkable season last year. He's behind 0-1. He leads the National League in strikeouts. Last year for Taylor, 21 homers. He hit nearly 290. Seager gets rid of it quickly. Cano out at first, not in time. What a play by Seager, though.
And right down the line, Kyle making the backhanded play, gets rid of it quickly. The throw's a little bit high. A strong throw for Robbie. Taylor runs well, not able to complete the double play. A couple of tough chances for Kyle Seager over at third here in the first inning.
Two outs, runners on the corners. Yasiel Puig digs in. Looks at ball one. Puig batting eighth. 15 home runs this year. Last year a career best 28. Elias gets a call, make it 1-1. And on the hands, Elias ahead.
A couple of well-located fastballs on this at bat. First one on the outside corner. EQC Tracer has the last fastball at 95 right on his hands in the inside corner. Spray chart.
D. Gordon might want to be ready.
Yeah.
Here comes the 1-2. Outside. Taylor coasting into second base. No throw there from Herman. Bellinger at third.
And you could see Taylor, he wanted him to throw the ball down to second. He was going to stop. Decision to either throw it down to second or not comes from the dugout.
Two in scoring position, 2 outs, 2 balls, and 2 strikes.
Now at 30 pitches in the first. It's not something that Scott Service Mel Stottlemyre wanted to see this afternoon.
Puig, the 8th batter. And no time call. Bellinger at third. Taylor at second. I think I heard some Dodgers fans yelling balk right there.
You did. You did hear that.
Again, the 2-2. I've seen plenty of 95s from Elias on that fastball this inning. Is Austin Barnes waiting next, the catcher on deck.
Barnes hitting 199 on the year. You got first base open. Not to give in to him right here. Back to the curveball.
Broken bat. Little loop for a base hit, doing some damage. Bellinger scoring. Taylor, who runs well, pedals home. And Puig, after a fairly lengthy at bat, has given the Dodgers now a 5-0 lead.
For Elias, he didn't throw the fastball. It was the changeup off the plate. Puig breaks his bat. Soft line drive into right.
Here's the number 9 hitter, Austin Barnes. Ahead 0-1. It will be a daunting task for the Mariners lineup behind 5-0 at the time and facing Kershaw today. And you wonder, like, next pitch is number 35. Nothing stirring to the bullpen yet. If Barnes reaches,
I think they're going to try to get as many pitches out of Elias as they possibly can. They've been struggling earlier in the inning, and that was going to be an issue. Then I think that you probably see somebody, but you're already committed that you're going to use your bullpen. But I don't think you want to see them pitch 9 innings.
I guess my only thought was, where's that danger zone for pitches in an inning for a guy coming off the disabled list, where you go, you know, this is beginning to get uncomfortable.
Right. Probably he's there. Think about it. Back in July, almost a month ago, he'd thrown 75 pitches in an outing, but really hasn't come anywhere near that because of the DL and everything else that's gone on with him. He really just has not pitched enough innings, and I think he has to be getting really close.
I mean, even for a pitcher who wasn't just on the DL, when you start approaching 40 pitches, that's kind of red line territory for most guys. There goes Puig. He coasted to second base.
Well, for Herman, I think that was a pretty good job on his part to try to frame that last pitch. It was such a big jump for Puig. He had no chance to throw him out.
Kershaw waiting. Two. Elias desperately trying to find an ending to this inning. Puig off to third. Throw that way. Tag is not a time. It's a walk to Barnes. Dodgers have stolen 3 bases in this inning.
Well, for Elias, I think he's so frustrated as you see Kyle trying to put the tag. Clearly beats it. A little bit frustrated on the mound on his command, and really not paying much attention at all to Puig. Both bases were easy for him to steal.
When they came into this game, the Dodgers leading the majors in steals this month. They've got 3 and more stolen bases than they have made outs. As we were seeing Dozier for the second time. Close but missing for ball 1. So Puig at third, Barnes at first to walk to the number 9 hitter. 40 pitches now for Elias. Finds a strike there on the edge. Now Dozier began this ball game with a single. He was later thrown out at home when the bases were loaded.
Elias, we were talking about how important it was going to be for him to work ahead in counts. 10 batters, 5 first pitch strikes. So that's important is for him to get to his curveball, use his changeup down out of the strike zone, and not have to throw it for strikes where it's been hit here in this inning.
Barnes 3 steals of the season. Dozier plenty of pop. 19 home runs in total this year.
Jason Bradford starting to get loose in the pen.
.43 pitches for Elias. The 2-2. Heredia cutting across. Has it in his sights, and it's over. The top of the first has come to a close, but plenty of damage dealt as the Dodgers lead 5-0. Now, you typically don't want to spot this man a 5-0 lead, but that's the score as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Clayton Kershaw making his third ever start against the Mariners. And they'll be facing a lineup that leads off with a pretty hot hitting Mitch Haniger, our Jack of the Box starting lineup.
And Mitch Haniger looking to be the fourth Mariner with 20 home runs on the year. Mitch Haniger in the leadoff spot with 19. Kyle Seager, the cleanup hitter today, hit his 20th home run in last night's ball game. Chris Herman will round out the 9 for the Mariners.
Now the numbers for Kershaw, Mike, this year sparkling as usual, especially since he's been off the disabled list.
Now this will be his 19th start of the year, a 2.47 ERA, 108 strikeouts over just 19 walks. Rarely walks anybody. Opponents hitting .225 against him. He has given up 10 home runs this year. Puig will be out in right field. Strong throwing arm. Chris Taylor saw him in center field last year. He's going to get the start at shortstop today. Austin Barnes will do the catching.
Haniger on base 4 times last night, including 3 walks. Once it strike one from Kershaw. Mike, we talked about this earlier today, but for Kershaw, you think curveball, but this year you're thinking more slider.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I thought about driving into the ballpark today was his curveball, and what a devastating pitch that has been for him in his career. But this year he's throwing his curveball 17% of the time. It's been his slider which he's throwing at 41% of the time. He will throw his slider at any point. Doesn't matter if he's behind in the count or not. Typically he will throw his slider more to get back into the count. Give you an idea how much control and confidence he has in that pitch, because he rarely walks anybody. He hasn't walked anybody in his last 2 outings. His average fastball this year is at 91 miles an hour. His curveball still a good pitch though. Opponent's hitting just 200 off his curveball, but his slider, opponent's hitting just 177. You can see Mitch Haniger has been hot for the Mariners last 10 games, hitting .415. Now, you mentioned the walks for Mitch in last night's ball game, and that's something that we've seen from him. Even in the month of July when he was struggling as far as getting hits, he still was able to take his walks. Pretty good pitch right there, right on the outside corner. Good fastball. Again, his fastball at 91 miles an hour on the outside corner. A late swing from Mitch. A lot of deception to Kershaw. Right over the top.
And steps Cano batting second, playing second. really is kind of one of the separators, isn't it, Mike? When you look at guys who are truly front of the line rotation starting pitchers, when they have not only one breaking ball that can finish you off, but two, and if one isn't particularly there that night, they can fall back on the other one.
I think that is true. We've seen that with James Paxton, his cutter, slider, and his curveball. On a night that he has both of them, you're in a lot of trouble. I think the same could be said for Kershaw, but James also with the big fastball. Kershaw, the difference for me is that his fastball at 91, I mentioned some deception for him, but also his ability to throw his slider when he's behind in the count. He does not give in to hitters, which is unusual when you consider that he doesn't walk anybody.
Cano behind a ball with 2 strikes. They have the shift on for him. You bring up the walks for Kershaw. His last 5 starts, 30 strikeouts, 2 walks. Punched into the ground. Taylor on the other side of the bag. 2 down. Two outs, nobody aboard. Mariners trailing here in the bottom of the 1st inning. They put the shift on as Dozier's on the other side. StatCast AI powered by AWS. Strike 1 to Cruz. Kershaw pumping almost nothing but strikes. Every pitch but 1, in fact. None of the first 10.
That last pitch, pretty good curveball at 73 miles an hour, down out of the strike zone.
Kershaw thinking strike 3. Just a touch wide.
You see Tracer had it off the plate.
Gets a strikeout after all. A couple of punch outs to side, retired in order. We played an inning. Last night, the Mariners walk-off win in interesting style. A balk-off, the 22nd walk-off balk in big league history, and the first since July of 2016. Now, the Mariners did this, or had this happen way back when in 2004. But needless to say, Mike, a simple flinch of the knee.
Yeah. And I think it's a little bit deceiving, too, when you look at the 22. Basically, 1963 is when they started enforcing the rule, which was to make the pitchers become set. So they have to Become set before they can deliver the baseball. So before 63, there was only 3 of those. Since then, there's been 19 because of that rule change. It's more common in today's game than it had been in the past.
I can't believe umpires are an easy target for basically everyone but umpires, right?
Well put, yes.
And to give the umpires a lot of credit, and especially last night behind home plate, I mean, you're talking about a critical situation in the game, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get bigger than that.
Right.
Bases loaded, bottom of the inning, extra innings, and you see not even a flinch. We're talking a quiver of a knee. You are that alert to it, and you have the conviction to call it immediately. I can't imagine having that kind of focus with everything else going on. Now, granted, like 99% of that does not pertain to the umpire, but it can be easy to get caught up in that.
Right.
Just the human element of it all. But to still be that locked in on it is pretty remarkable.
To your point, it gives you an idea how well trained these guys are to know, because they're not looking for that. It just happens and they see it.
That was the crew chief Marvin Hudson, who's at third base today. As he earned that crew chief badge last night.
And the other person that called it right away was Nelson Cruz, who was the base runner at first.
I mean, he looked like the kid when the ice cream truck drives by.
He was pretty excited about it.
And to left field, Turner on base for the second time in as many innings.
Tough first inning for Elias, having to throw over 40 pitches, giving up the 5 runs, and then a leadoff hitter getting a base hit. But even seeing the replay of that balk, Aaron, when they slow everything down, it's difficult to see, isn't it?
I've seen it like everybody else,
and it was there,
a dozen times.
Yeah, but it's difficult to see.
You know when you can really tell is when the guys in the production room darkened everything but highlighted the knee, which I don't think Mr. Hudson had the luxury of seeing it that way in real time last night. That's when you could really tell what happened. Ball one to Machado. Machado singled and a run scored back in the first. You know, this is technically called a spot shadow, Mike. Let's get this right. Let's give the due to the guys in the production room. There it is.
There's not much there, is there?
There's not much there at all.
Especially when you consider all the stuff that was going on in that inning. And to your point, to have the concentration to, 1, see it, and 2, make the call right away.
Leadoff man aboard. That's Turner at first. Now Elias behind 3-0. Machado batting just a tick beneath 270 as a member of the Dodgers. 4 home runs, 28 in total this year. An all-star once again. Out to left field. Cameron Maben is there. Heredia has his eyes set on it though. 1 down. Court is back in session tomorrow when King Felix duels with the Houston Astros at 7:10. Tickets are only $25 and include the 2018 Kings Court t-shirts. So cheer on Felix and the Mariners by picking up your tickets at mariners.com/Felix. Astros trying to escape the Coliseum today with a win. Verlander on the mound for Houston. They'll be coming here next. 1 out, 1 on for Matt Kemp. Scored one of the 5 runs for the Dodgers in the first inning. Going after the first pitch, that'll help things out for Elias. Haniger waiting on it. 2 outs. How about more on tomorrow when Houston strolls back here to Seattle? Our CenturyLink What's Next? Good pitching matchup. Felix versus Garrett Cole. Now, the last time we saw Garrett Cole in this ballpark, Mike, after about 3 innings, we thought, well, he's going to throw a perfect game.
He had that type of stuff that day. His fastball was 97 miles an hour. He's throwing strikes on the corners. Really good breaking ball from him. And really, it was similar type of stuff that we saw in Houston from him.
I mean, easy 98 to 100 with the nasty breaking ball.
Kershaw today, Cole tomorrow. It's not going to get any easier for the hitters.
It's worth noting the Mariners ended up winning that game.
Right.
Paxton pitched on the other side and pitched very well, of course. Ball and a strike to Cody Bellinger. Now 12-game hitting streak for Bellinger. Last year's National League Rookie of the Year. 39 home runs this season to go. There he goes.
See the drop down breaking balls, back-to-back pitches with the curveball. Or Elias, when he drops down, changes the arm angle, it will flatten that pitch out, but he can run it away from the left-handers. Bellinger picked up a base hit. 12-game hitting streak for him, driving in a couple of runs. He's doing the same thing, dropping down, but it was on the fastball, not the breaking ball.
An appeal. And they say that it goes around. Bellinger strikes out in a pretty quick, all things considered, top of the second for Elias. Is your next chance to take advantage of Mariners value game savings. Thanks to BECU, fans can score select bleacher or view seats for $15 or main and club seats for $30 when the Mariners host the Astros beginning tomorrow at 7:10. So as always, just head over to mariners.com/value to pick up your tickets. Left on left, Kershaw versus Seager to begin the bottom of the second. Seager on base 3 times last night, of course, his 20th home run of the season. Meanwhile, we check in to the Coliseum where Yuli Gurriel has just swatted a 3-run home run to put the Astros on top. How about this for Seager, Mike? That's now not only 7 seasons of 20 home runs, but let's take it a step further. That's 7 consecutive seasons of 20 home runs. That ties a franchise record. It's only been done twice before. You're looking at Buhner and Edgar, and now Seager, the only guys to ever do it in franchise history. For Junior, 95 interrupted things.
Makes you wonder where Kyle's numbers will be by the time his career is over. He's starting. You look at the Mariners and this organization and the players, the great players that have played here, and he's starting to see those numbers starting to add up for him to where he's right there below that list of people, and obviously he has years to go.
I think you're right. I mean, not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but he's a clear-cut Mariners Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And when it's all said and done, I mean, you can make the list even shorter than top 10 Mariners of all time, I think. Be right up there in that realm behind kind of the iconic guys that we all know about. He'll be right there. He's putting together an incredible season with one team. There's one of those guys we're talking about. Healy at the plate with one out.
Seven years with 20 plus. As far as his power numbers goes, that speaks to the consistency of his play. It's impressive. Especially when you go all the way back, Aaron. He was first breaking in, and they thought that he would be a nice utility player.
Off the glove and into center field.
First base hit for the Mariners. Right off the edge of his glove.
One out, one out for Cameron Maven. Taylor ranging across, sliding, gets rid of it. They get Healy at second. Pretty impressive play by Chris Taylor. 2 outs, a fielder's choice for Maven.
Thought this was going to be a base hit. Primero Supermo just smothers it. A quick dish over to Dozier to get the force out.
Two outs, Maven aboard. Here is D. Gordon.
He is 3 for 9 in his career against Kershaw.
Former teammate of his. Probably more fun playing behind Kershaw than standing in the batter's box against Kershaw.
.333 hitter though.
That's right. Small sample. Hey, if you can get one hit, let alone a couple against him, you're doing something all right. Especially if you're a lefty. Taylor wants it, and he's got it. To end the inning, Maven is left. We've played 2. Dodgers have the lead. Well, make your voice heard. Nominate your favorite plays of the week by tweeting us using the hashtag #RootFanFave. Watch the Mariners pregame show every Sunday to find out your fan favorite plays of the week. Plus, each month, one lucky fan will win a Coors Light Yeti cooler just for participating. For official rules, visit rootsports.com. Kike Hernandez leads it up for the Dodgers, and on the first pitch, he pulls it foul. Hernandez an RBI single back in a very productive 5-run first inning for Los Angeles.
Aaron, you brought it up in the first inning, but for Elias, now it's 62 pitches, and Scott, I think, was hoping to get 3 or 4 innings at him, so you have to wonder if this will be his last inning, especially after throwing over 40 pitches in the first. Nobody's getting loose in the pen right now.
Flattens out for D. Gordon. Pumps a strike to first. 1 down. Well, the way the first inning was going, I think at that point you would know that Elias would possibly get you 3. You'd be pretty happy with that, considering the fact that it did not look like he would necessarily get out of the first inning. 1 up, 1 down for Chris Taylor.
You mentioned D. Gordon with the Dodgers and breaking in as a shortstop. This is my first opportunity to see him live, and that was the first ground ball to him. It looked pretty good. No problem.
Like he's done it before?
Yeah, no problem at all. Or D, this is his 3rd day in a row at shortstop.
Strike 1 to Taylor. The last time Kershaw pitched in this ballpark, D was the starting shortstop that day for the Dodgers. 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 0-2. Inside. Taylor batting just south of 250 this year, 13 home runs. A good news reported there by Jen on Paxton. He's looking for a speedy recovery. Haniger into the corner, over his head and over the wall. 1-out ground rule double.
Taylor's going to get a fastball, top the strike zone, but out over the plate, elevated for him. Drives it down into the corner.
One out, a runner in scoring position. Here comes Puig, a broken bat 2-run single his last time up. Taylor taken off. That's the 4th steal by the Dodgers.
Yeah, poor Elias, he's just not paying attention to the base runners. It was a walking lead for Taylor, not giving Herman any chance to throw him out. See Chris Taylor in the back, really not paying attention, and infield is in now for the Mariners.
Clips Herman.
Right at the top of the knee. Check swing. Primera Supermo. Right in that crease.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
does make me think, Mike, that today over the National League, Yadier Molina is making his 27th consecutive start behind home plate. I mean, think about that for a second. No Sundays off. No midweek day game after night game.
I can remember thinking about that. Somebody like Ivan Rodriguez Pudge, he was sort of that way. I can remember Dave Valley filled in for me the last couple of days, but Val was a backup catcher to him. And Val said that I think he played in like 5 games or something. It was rarely on the field because it's rare for guys to be able to do that, obviously, with the beating that they take. But yeah, it's not common at all to see a catcher to catch so many games in a row and that many over the course of the season.
And for Molina, now 36 years old. And
yeah.
Still 0-2 on Puig.
Of course, seeing that foul ball, Chris Herman in that shin guard area. Val has also said the one at the end of his career, he would find as much padding as he possibly could and put it all on. I don't blame him.
Now, Salvador Perez is kind of the most recent version of that in terms of active guys outside of Molina.
And it's rare to see catchers night game, day game. It's rare to see that at all. But we actually saw that on the last road trip with Mike Zunino too. He's been able to do that a number of times.
On the infield, Robbie calling for it. 2 outs. A reminder, as always, that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. 2 outs. Taylor at third base for the catcher Austin Barnes, batting 9th. One and one. And a good stop by Herman with Taylor at third base.
Getting loose again. Getting loose in the first inning. Yes, starting to reach his limit.
Now the 2-2. On top of the order, and Brian Dozier due up next. If not for that first inning, 80 pitches could have been stretched out over a pretty good chunk of time of this one today for Elias.
Well, season high had been 75. So a little bit surprised that he was able to get to 80. Actually, Bradford's getting loose. This is probably going to be his last hitter. Chris Herman still trying to walk that foul ball off, the one that hit him on the knee. Limping around a little bit.
Again, the 3-2. Oh, and foul ball. Next pitch will be number 9 to Barnes. This will be at least a 10-pitch plate appearance for Barnes.
And he's seen everything. That last pitch was a changeup. He just fouled off the fastball before that. EQC tracer. You can see all the pitches in the middle of the plate. He's not able to put the ball in play.
Dodgers have Chris Taylor at third. He doubled and then stole third base. He goes. Barnes not too pleased. It's Elias out of this top of the third. It strands Taylor at third base. Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. By CHI Franciscan Health, the Mariners' official partner in health. Get your guide to living Northwest healthy at nwhealthy.org/Mariners. And by Columbia Winery. Join the Mariners and Columbia in supporting and celebrating Washington Wine Month this August. On to the bottom of the third. Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers leading the Mariners 5-0. Guillermo Heredia leads it off for the Mariners. Curveball to make it 0-2. What a ball game going on in Oakland. Astros now leading 5-4. Chris Davis has homered twice in that game. And Evan Gattis just going deep to give the Astros the lead. How about this?
Wow.
These numbers for Chris Davis against Justin Verlander. 5 for 10 now. 4 home runs. Machado charging, backhand, and it is in time. Pretty smooth play. Well, we were wondering if Chris Herman would be able to stay in this game after this, Mike.
Yeah, you can see the foul ball on his knee, hit the seam in there, and was able to work his way through the rest of that half inning, but he ended up having to take himself out of the ball game. You see, just not comfortable at all. So Mike Zunino, he thought he was going to get the afternoon off. Will have to be in the ball game.
Strike one to Mike. Popped out of play, 1-2.
Aaron, we were talking about Kershaw and how he rarely walks anybody. Good way to start that is to throw a first pitch strike. He is 10 for 10 so far this afternoon, so we're getting a pretty good idea of the type of command that he has.
No, I was looking at his percentages of first pitch strikes, and for the season he's at 69% first pitch strikes. When I check in on that from time to time for other starting pitchers, I have seen one guy this year at 70%. And I'm really interested to know what the league average is, and I don't have the answer to that question. But anytime you see something, in my mind, Mike, as Taylor handles this smoothly for round number 2, a couple of ground ball outs behind Kershaw here in the third. When I was thinking about it today after seeing that number for Kershaw, I was thinking anywhere north of 60% kind of stands out in my mind. I mean, what do you think, just off the cuff?
I think it depends a lot on the pitchers and thinking about the way it goes today, and there's so much power. And by the way, that's 9 for 9, excuse me, but I think if you look at the type of arms and the pitchers that we're seeing, so many, even the power arms today, going to the breaking ball more, I would say probably maybe a little bit under 60% or around that at this level.
57%.
57.
Well, that's I'm guessing.
Oh, 57.
Yeah, they're.
Oh, you're guessing.
The guys who do the spot shadow are hard at work right now. As we just throw questions to the live broadcast. Top of the order here is Haniger behind the count. The 0-2. Out of the plate. Haniger batting .362 this month, one of the best hitters in the game of the month of August. And no batter in either league has more doubles than Haniger. He has 10 this month. Down swinging, Kershaw faces the minimum, retires his side in order for the second time in 3 innings. Top of the fourth, Dodgers leading 5-0. The Mariners Karen Packard are hosting a book drive at Safeco Field on Tuesday, August 21st to benefit the Page Ahead Children's Literacy Program. Fans are encouraged to bring new books or make a cash donation at the gates to help children in need succeed in school by developing strong reading skills. Well, a pitching change as we start things off. Our Beacon Plumbing call to the pen. We begin the fourth with a new pitcher. Jason Bradford takes over for Rowanus Elias.
5-0 record, ERA just over 3, 44 1/3. Has 32 strikeouts. Opponent sitting 250 against him. His fastball will be in the low 90s and a slider.
He faces the top of the order. It begins with Brian Dozier, second baseman. Remember when Dozier was with the Twins and was at the top of their order. Now he kind of fluctuated over recent years, whether he was batting leadoff or elsewhere. As you see Mike Zunino, of course, staying in the game and doing the catching. And we talked to Paul Molitor, their manager, Hall of Famer, of course, about Dozier at the top of the order. And Molitor, and kind of away with some question marks with it, simply said, well, I don't know if I'd say Dozier is the best leadoff hitter, but there were a lot of times and for long stretches of time, Mike, where the Twins order just did better with Dozier at the top, and part of that's because he's a guy who's hit 42 home runs in a season.
Yeah, there's some power in that leadoff spot,
but he's not the type of guy that you draw up to
right.
be a leadoff hitter. I think was Molitor's point, of course.
Yeah, but he can get you on the scoreboard in a hurry.
And then the game is definitely shifting in that direction. We see that in the division with Springer so often at the top of the order for the Astros. Haniger now for the Mariners. There's Justin Turner. Game hitting streak for Turner now. Adding nearly 430 in that stretch. We mentioned Bellinger swinging the hottest bat, at least in terms of an average, in the majors this month. Well, Turner's not far behind him. He's hitting over 400 this month. He's tied with JD Martinez for the second best average in the major leagues this month. And if you're tied with JD Martinez in anything this season, you're doing something right.
That last pitch was similar to the fastball that he hit out in last night's ball game. Elevated fastball, middle in.
That was right there, ruled ball 3.
A couple of borderline pitches that he did not get the call on. First pitch slider looked like it was on the corner and was called a ball.
Maben goes in. Number 2. How about this inside the ballpark? One of the great Huskies in school history, Isaiah Thomas, down at the Nuggets in the ballpark today. He was just introduced up on Mariners Vision during the inning break. Last night, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was at the ballpark. Wonder who will be here tomorrow night. Now, can you guess which video they played of Isaiah Thomas on Mariners Vision in between innings? You see it before. I feel like before every Huskies game, even now. And the shot in the Pac-10 title game against Arizona. Cold-blooded, as Gus would say. Strike one of Machado. Bradford quickly had 0-2.
Getting him to chase a couple of high fastballs, borderline strikes.
Seager charges. Bobbles. balls and again. Welcome Ken, 80 years old. His first trip here inside Safeco Field. Glad he could join us for this one today.
Having a good time.
As Machado reaches to extend the top of the fourth.
Give Kyle an error on the play. Difficult part was that in between hop he was able to glove, but then the exchange he dropped it a couple of times.
Two outs, Machado aboard for Matt Kemp. Kemp originally drafted by the Dodgers and moved on elsewhere. Now back with Los Angeles.
18 home runs on the year.
Last night, the offense for the Dodgers was really just Turner and Bellinger. The rest of the team combined to go 3 for 28. And a bit of a different story today, however. Off the hands, a soft slice into right field. Served for a base hit. Kemp his first hit. Machado into second, 2 outs and 2 on.
Fastball in off the plate, but an inside out swing. It jams on soft line drive into right field. He's working hard, trying to pull those hands in as close to his body as he can to get the barrel to it.
Two down runners at first and second for Cody Bellinger. Driven in 2 of the 5 runs for the Dodgers in this one today. Shift is on for him. For Bellinger, his last 15 games, batting .440. On base percentage of over .500 in that stretch. And in the hitter's count. Up the middle, off of Bradford's shoe, and it dies halfway up the line, and the bases are loaded. I guess when you're going right, you're going right. Bellinger aboard an infield base hit.
Right back up the middle. Pitch that was away from him. It looks like it goes off the heel. It does, off the heel of Bradford's shoe.
So for Bradford, after getting the 2 outs, there was the E5, the really soft single the opposite way by Kemp. And now an infield base hit off of his foot. Now facing Kike Hernandez. Good numbers for Hernandez with the bases loaded in his career. Two and 0. Bradford not throwing as many strikes as he would like for the last now 4 hitters. Hernandez not hitting for a particularly high average, but you can see nearly 20 home runs. Get the bags packed with 2 outs here in the 4th inning. 3-1.
Another hitters count, nowhere to put him. 2-0 was a fastball in the outside corner. There's Taylor waiting on deck. He tries to go away again.
Now full. Two outs, bases loaded, the 3-2. Walks in a run. 6-0 Dodgers. An unearned run, but a run nonetheless.
That's part of the problem. Is could have been out of the inning. Instead, it's a run now, and really adding to his pitch count overall. 22 pitches, and that's after Elias was able to work his way through 3 innings. He had to throw over 80 pitches. Nobody getting loose in the pen.
Bases remain loaded for Chris Taylor.
Taylor with a double his last time up, also stole a base, scored a run back in the first inning.
It's now ball 1 to each of the last 4 hitters, and 4 of the last 5 for Chase and Bradford. Haniger having an angle back on it. It is caught by Haniger on the track. What a catch by the Mariners all-star right fielder. One of the game's best, Clayton Kershaw, making his first start against the Mariners since 2012, and he has hardly allowed a base runner so far.
Well, it also has worked ahead. First pitch strikes to every hitter he has faced so far in the ballgame. A plus curveball and slider going for him, and he's had his average fastball at 91, but terrific command of it. So far, just 1 hit for the Mariners.
Cano, Cruz, and Seager, they only hit the Healy single. Well, for the first time, ball 1. He's losing it, Mike.
Let's hope so.
Shift on for Robbie. By the way, Mike, we got the answer. JJ harder work for us. The average percentage first pitch strikes by a major league pitcher, 60.7%. So Kershaw right at almost 70%. It's well above league average. Slapped in towards left center, and a gliding catch by Hernandez. One down. Well, for all you Game of Thrones fans, head to Safeco Field tomorrow for Game of Thrones night when the Mariners host the Houston Astros. Purchase before noon tomorrow at mariners.com/Game of Thrones and receive an exclusive bobblehead of King Felix himself sitting on the Iron Throne. First pitch tomorrow night, 7:10, 3 games as the Astros come to town. Felix versus Garrett Cole.
Now, did JJ tell you where he was able to get that information?
Oh, I never question his source because this makes the broadcast smoother when we don't do that. Are you disputing it, Mike? That'd be great if you did.
I'm just asking the question. JJ's right man could have just could have just grabbed that number and given it to you. Maybe think he might be in the truck laughing right now.
He'll say anything I tell him. 0-2. He claims that the good people at Stats Inc. Helped him find that.
Okay.
But who knows? They'll be behind 0-2.
Looking at some of the numbers, a little bit surprised that this is only the second plate appearance for Nelson against Kershaw in his career. Had not faced him until today.
That's pretty bizarre. Even in separate leagues.
Yeah.
Of course, Kershaw has about as much hardware on his shelf, maybe more than anybody. 7-time an All-Star, 3 times a Cy Young Award winner. Of course, once the Cy Young and the MVP in the same season. That was in 2014. That 14 season for Kershaw was remarkable. And aside from winning the Cy and the MVP, he had the 15 strikeout no-hitter. Cruz kind of looking 2 outs.
Well, he is certainly on today and ended up getting a lot of run support in the first inning.
A no-hitter coming at the expense of the Rockies. And the only thing, and to me this just even further underscores how incredible Felix's perfect game was. The only thing that separated Clayton Kershaw between a no-hitter and a perfect game was an error by Hanley Ramirez at shortstop. Something completely out of his control. And it goes from something really great in a no-hitter,
right,
and it keeps it from being something basically immortal in this game, a perfect game. Punched out to right field. Puig over near the line, and a fair ball. Bounced over to the seats, so Seager can take his time getting into second. It's the second hit today and the first for extra bases against Kershaw.
And I think, if I remember correctly, because I remember the error by Ramirez, I think it was a fairly routine play.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Swing by Kyle. Again with the home run last night. Pick up a double right down the line, able to keep it fair.
You just think about all the things that can go wrong, or go, really a better way to put it, go against a pitcher when a no-hitter or a perfect game might be in progress, like we saw from Felix against Tampa Bay. So many things out of their control. It's much like getting the win or the loss, Mike, in so many ways.
Yeah, I really feel terrible for all the pitchers out there.
But truly, it was one of the most masterful no-hitters in baseball history. And his ERA, by the way, that year in 2014, a 1.77. Ground ball. Taylor can't get there. Seager scores. He's coming around. He slides in. He's safe. Back to the backstop, and that allows Healy to get into second base. Mariners are on the board thanks to Ryan Healy and Kyle Seager.
Ryan with a couple of hits now pick up an RBI. That'll also be an error on the center fielder, letting Healy get to second base. But both hits right back up the middle. One was on a curveball. That looked like a fastball away from him. Kershaw a little bit late to back the play up. He'll break late. See him drop his head right there because he gave up the hit. And here he's trying to back up. Airmail's the catcher. Mariners on the scoreboard.
In steps Maven. Curveball gets him looking 0-2. Healy lead off second. 2 outs. Back to the curveball. For Kershaw this year, 18 starts entering today. Spent some time with the disabled list. He's allowed more than 3 earned runs one time. In the dirt. I mentioned the last time that Kershaw faced the Mariners was way back in 2012. Iwakuma pitched in that game in relief. Give you an idea how long ago it was. And on a rare time where the Mariners' third baseman was not Kyle Seager. Kershaw thinking strike 3, very close. Seager was at second base that day. Alex Liddy was the Mariners' third baseman the last time that Kershaw pitched against the Mariners. The 3-2. This is muscled high by the pole in left field. Is it fair? Is it foul? Foul ball.
I've been surprised that he challenged him. Talking about it earlier in the game with his slider, and he typically will throw it when he's behind in the count, not give in to hitters. This looks like a fastball. Romero Supermo catches it on the barrel, out in front of it just a bit. Not able to keep it fair.
The 7th pitch to Maven. Foul back.
Another fastball at the bottom of the zone. 7 pitches in the at bat so far.
Plate appearance there by Cameron Maven. Able to work a 2-out walk out of it. And the Mariners have 2 aboard for D. Gordon. And for a guy who never walks anybody, that's saying something. We mentioned it earlier. His last 5 starts, he's walked 2 batters. That's only his 20th walk this season. Two on, 2 out for Gordon. Strike 1.
A good chance for the Mariners to get right back into this ball game. Score another run or 2, and you're also working on Kershaw and his pitch count. He's thrown 24 pitches here in this inning.
Foul out of play, 0-2. Two outs and 2 on. Mariners down by 5. Ground ball rolled over to Dozier. Mariners leave a pair. They get their first run of the day against Kershaw. As we go to the top of the 5th, we want to introduce you to Bud Ward, who just turned 98 earlier in July. And as you can see by his bald cap, a veteran of World War II and the Korean War. We're very happy for his service, an American hero, and happy you can join us today here inside Safeco Field. Puig leads it off. Bradford, who took over for Elias, who went 3 innings. Bullpen day for the Mariners. 4 is over, strike 1. Puig was an all-star back in 2014. It was his second year in the league. Just look at Puig, and as the guy that you want first off the bus. I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, yet to have really a monster season. Remember, a couple of years ago was sent down to AAA.
I was just going to say, you look at his skill set. I think you have to be disappointed if you're the Dodgers, aren't you, at this point? And some of the other issues that have
for
come
sure.
along
There
with
have been plenty of distractions,
right,
including when he was sent down to Oklahoma City. I don't know if Puig and OKC necessarily jive, but he certainly looked like he enjoyed himself there. No, but he is an absolute physical freak. I mean, he's the closest thing, wouldn't you say, Mike, in terms of just body double to Bo Jackson that's in the game right now?
I'd say that's close. Yeah.
I mean, nobody's Bo.
Right.
Oh, the Orca card is all you need to ride the Sounder train. Link light rail, buses, ferries, and streetcars. You can learn more at getorcasmart.com. Now, didn't Bo walk through the Mariners clubhouse at one point when you were in there?
A number of times. At that time in the Kingdom, the weight room, you had to go through our locker room, our clubhouse, and he obviously would always want to stop by and say hello to Junior. They were good friends. But yeah, it's scary to think of somebody that has that size and can run like he was able to run. It's amazing.
Catcher Austin Barnes, number 9 hitter. One and one. He goes and check down to first base. 1 and 2. Now Zunino's needed something. Maybe
snapped a lace, I think,
on
his glove. That's why all these guys have a backup. Remember, Supermo, the pocket of his glove. And you can see that webbing separate.
One out, nobody on. A ball and 2 strikes to Barnes. Well, that makes me think of a story that Brendan Ryan. God, miss Brendan, don't you?
Sure. A lot of fun.
It's just one of the greatest.
A lot of energy.
And what a fielder too, huh?
Yeah, very good shortstop.
When he was coming up as a rookie in St. Louis, his teammates with Albert Pujols, part of some really good Cardinals teams, playing for Tony La Russa. Which, by the way, I don't think Tony had quite the same sense of humor that Brendan had.
I can see where that would be a problem.
I don't know if they jived, if they were on quite the same page all the time. But
I think there's some patience involved.
But boy, he can pick it at short.
Yep.
There was a situation where Brendan did something. I don't know if he was, I can't remember if it was right when he came up and he got his first big league hit or something along those lines, but he was pretty happy about something. Let's put it that way. Let's find Seager. Easy out number 2, both his way. And bottom line, the guys, his teammates, put his clothes, his t-shirt and his jeans in water, and they stuck him in the freezer. They froze his clothes. Now, he found this early in the day, and he hung the clothes up in his locker. And what made me think about this was, you're talking about a backup glove, because he had his gamer, the glove that he uses in the game, underneath his frozen jeans, which, can you guess what happened?
Yeah, pretty good idea.
That glove soaked up a lot of water over the next couple of hours. And Brendan didn't realize it until his glove had ballooned, right? And now it's approaching game time. He races into the bathroom of the clubhouse, double barrel hair dryer onto the glove, thinking that maybe he's got a prayer of drying this thing out, when apparently he was using the most commercial grade hair dryers. He blows the fuse and all the lights in the bathroom go out, and Tony La Russa was not too pleased with all this. He had to use his backup glove.
Right. Well, it gives you an idea how important their equipment is. I think, you know, I can remember one time I had my game glove, and you have a backup glove, and you probably have a backup to the backup glove. But I had left it, I believe, on the bench prior to the game, but there was a lot of traffic, a lot of people that was going on. I left my glove there. To the hit, didn't think much of it. Come back, I can't find my glove anywhere. Yeah. It took me about 2 weeks to get a glove that I was comfortable with.
Never to be seen again?
No, I never saw it again. No. And it's, I mean, mentally, that is on your mind all the time, because when you have your gamer and you're so used to it, and that's all they use it for. When you see these guys practicing during batting practice and all the grounders and the early work, it's never with their gamer. It's always with some sort of backup, and you're constantly trying to find that next gamer, because eventually you're going to wear it out. But it's not easy to find the one that's just perfect. And so you take care of it.
Well, most guys do.
Yeah, I unfortunately one day left it, and yeah, it was gone. It took me a couple of weeks, and it was actually my backup to my backup that ended up being my next game.
Were you just frantically asking every teammate, have you seen my glove?
Yeah.
Hey, where's my glove? Did you think the guys were like pulling a prank on you at first?
I thought that maybe one of the bad boys had seen it on the bench and picked it up and taken it back up to the clubhouse. It was getting towards the end of batting practice, and they usually will do that. Another good jump. Good chance again for Mike as it gets past him.
Dozier thinking about third, holds up as the ball ricochets back to Zunino.
Another stolen base. It's a lot like that fancy pen that you have right there. You have a backup.
I do have a backup,
but it's just not the same.
You should see me if I have to go to that pen. Well, what inning is it? Who's playing again? It is fancy, though. I'm glad you noted that. You know, I've never had to use the backup pen. I've lost the backup pen.
Oh, you have?
Bought a new backup pen only to rediscover the original backup.
So you had a backup in the back.
I did. In fact, credit where credit is due. I left it in another country, Mike. I left it in Toronto at Rogers Center, and the next year when we returned, the stage manager in Toronto said, "Hey, is this yours?" And he holds up an Apple Pencil. Yeah.
Wow.
He held on to it the entire offseason. I mean, Robbie would do that.
Little did he know you would never need it.
This is dropping, and Haniger can't make the catch. Dozier crosses. Almost a collision there with Haniger and Cano.
Back-to-back innings where the Dodgers have scored a run with 2 outs. 2 outs and nobody on. Base runner, a stolen base, and then the sliding try by Haniger. Also trying to not get kicked in the face.
Six-run lead now. Here's Machado. He has scored twice. Turnaround base for the 3rd time. That's ruled ball 1. Shot foul, 1-2. This is tomahawked out to left. Maben now trying to go back on it. At the wall, he's able to make the catch on the track. Machado flies out deep to left. A run does cross. 7-1 Dodgers.
All right, guys, still. A cyberbullying book. King Felix the Moose involved, and how did you guys get involved in this project?
Well, we were looking for a partnership with the Mariners, and there's no better partnership than with our kind of digital inclusion program. And so we knew that cyberbullying and kids' safety on the internet is, is a top priority. So we partnered together to build this book so that parents and kids can, kind of come together and figure out what to do if kids experience kind of a negative issue of cyberbullying online.
Which is a great topic. And you also guys have a project getting internet services to low-income families with kids?
Yes, so this is connected with our Internet Essentials program. Again, we want to connect low-income families to make sure they're all connected. So we're working with kids under the National School Lunch Program, housing assistance for individuals on housing assistance, and this last week we just announced low-income veterans.
Terry, that is fantastic work with Xfinity. Thank you for dropping by today, sharing a little bit about what you guys are doing. And the author we should mention, Jarrett Menting. Might have heard of him. Aaron, Mike, we'll get back to you guys. And maybe I can get Jarrett to sign you guys a couple of copies.
That's good. We got a couple of those copies at the Goldsmith household, unsigned though. Brad, Terry, thank you so much as we go to the bottom of the fifth. Kershaw 60 pitches and a bit of a laborious fourth inning.
He was cruising up to that point. Had to struggle a little bit. Mariners able to pick up a run. Still at 60 pitches through 4 innings. Not bad. He's been on top of his game today. A lot of strikes. A lot of first pitch strikes today.
To Machado. One down. It'll be interesting to see what the offseason holds for Manny Machado, a big name on the free agent market. Bryce Harper, of course, as well. Harper now really beginning to surge in the month of August after really a disappointing season, not only for Harper, but for the Nationals as well. But for Machado, he's been pretty bullish, Mike, on playing shortstop. Today's a rare day where he is on the hot corner. But talking with people who know much more than I do about Machado defensively, as this routinely. I mean, he is a well above average defender at third, obviously a Gold Glove third baseman, and although his desires certainly appears to be at shortstop, he does seem to be more of an average shortstop than a well above average third baseman.
Yeah, I think to me, I was a bit surprised earlier when he was talking about that and made the statement that he wants to be a shortstop. That's it. That's what he wants to play. But he's also grown up playing the position. He probably enjoys being in the middle of the diamond more, regardless of how great a third baseman he is.
It's easy to forget that when he came up to Baltimore, he was a shortstop all through the minors, and literally days before he was called up, they started working him out at third base. And then to the show he goes, and now he's a Platinum Glove winner at third and playing there at least for today. But seen plenty of time at shortstop with the Dodgers as well.
Hardy the shortstop in Baltimore when he broke
Ooh.
in?
Yes.
I think that was
Good call.
yeah.
A terrific defender when he was going right, especially even when he wasn't swinging the bat well. That's such value to the Orioles. Into center field. Mitch is single.
Well, Mitch is 1 for 3. Fastball middle away. Hits it hard right back up the middle, right on the barrel. Mitch always has his eyes right to the baseball. Rarely pulls off of the ball.
Cano digs in with 2 outs. Slicing out of play towards left field. 0-2. Robbie a ground out and a fly out facing Kershaw today. Cano down swinging. Haniger stranded. We've played 5. Look at our Verizon player profile. As the Astros come to town, and it would appear as though we will be seeing Jose Altuve at some point in that series. He is on AAA rehab assignment. In fact, has been in Tacoma playing against the Rainiers. You can see the Astros with and without Altuve this year. 7-13 without Altuve. Now, to be fair, they're without players other than just Altuve, very important players. Team average way down, runs per game significantly down. It's the reigning MVP after all. First pitch missing to Matt Kemp. Speaking of the Astros, leading 6-4 in Oakland. 2 pitches and 1 out. And after the A's win against the Astros last night, marked the first time in over 2 months that the Astros were not all by themselves at the top of the West. Well, the Mariners, of course, had an 11-game lead over the A's. The Astros had a 12-game lead over the A's. In steps Bellinger with the shift on, 1 down. I mean, for the A's, 8 walk-off wins, 11 extra inning wins, and 26 one-run wins. Sounds more like the Mariners.
Well, they have been as hot as anybody, hotter than most, and it doesn't appear that they're going to slow down. You keep waiting for that to happen, but
we've been saying that for a couple of weeks now, haven't we?
Yeah. The Mariners have a couple series left with the A's, 7 more games, 6 games with Houston.
You know, Alex Cora, first-year skipper for the Red Sox. I mean, his team could win in excess of 110 games this year, and he may not win Manager of the Year. When you think about the consideration that Bob Melvin has to get.
Right. A lot of expectations on the Red Sox doing what they are supposed to be doing, right?
And you're right, tons of expectations, and yet they're exceeding those expectations.
Right. I think Chris Sale back on the disabled list again.
That's tough. Meanwhile, Michael Kopech, who came over in that deal as just a young man in the low minors, hard throwing starting pitcher from the Red Sox organization, now with the White Sox. He has been called up. 2 outs as Bellinger strikes out for the 2nd time. Kopech made some viral waves a couple of years ago when he was clocked. Now, there was a bit of a running head start, but he was clocked, I believe, throwing at 105 miles an hour. He's built like he's made of granite.
But it doesn't count because he had a running start.
It was, you know, maybe it was just a crow hop. But I can tell you this: when the White Sox executives saw this after they just acquired him, and he is, I don't know, 20 years old.
Right.
I think there was a phone call made. Hey, Michael, that was really cool. Maybe let's back off the velocity a little bit. You don't need to do it twice. Let's hold that shoulder up. So plenty of excitement around the White Sox, who are certainly acquired plenty of prospects over the last couple of years and all the deals they've made.
Another tough year for him this year.
Two outs, nobody aboard here in the 6th inning. Hernandez, the batter, he is driven in 2. An RBI single and a bases loaded walk. Well, this is some terrific news.
Great news.
Former Mariner Leonis Martin released from the hospital, a very serious infection. Punished to left. Crushed. Gone. Above the out-of-town scoreboard. 8-1 Dodgers. Hernandez, his 18th of the season, his 3rd RBI today.
The Dodgers are first in the National League in home runs and slugging percentage, and this is going to be a pitch right in the middle of the plate. Super Mo. To keep his hands back just long enough on that slider that ended up in the middle of the plate.
Now for all the runs today for the Dodgers, their first home run. They've been teeing off in this series, however. It started in game 1. Machado hit 2. The Dodgers hit 5 in total. One and 2. and a foul ball. So 1-2 on Taylor.
We're talking about the Red Sox exceeding expectations. A .710 winning percentage this year. So I would say that qualifies, yes.
We talk about the Bob Melvin, Alex Cora dynamic. How about JD Martinez
and his teammate?
He could win the Triple Crown, and he may not be the MVP of the American League.
What a year he is having, though.
He's been remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make a strong case he's the best hitter in the major leagues. And yet Mookie Betts is hitting in the neighborhood of 350, slugging for probably even a slightly higher clip. What he does defensively as well. Gold Glove caliber right field. He was hit for the cycle this year. Brushes him back 2-2.
They are 1-2 in slugging percentage. Martinez then Betts.
It's been a magic carpet ride for those people in Boston. Seager near the line. To end the inning. Okay, Hernandez, however, going deep. Played 5.5, and the Dodgers have a healthy lead. Well, 2019 season tickets are on sale now. Don't miss any of the action of next season by making your deposit today. You'll also be eligible for postseason priority as the Mariners continue their quest to October. For details and pricing, just visit mariners.com. Well, change defensively for Dave Roberts and the Dodgers as Jock Peterson has taken over for Matt Kemp in left field. Nelson Cruz leads it off for the Mariners in the bottom of the 6th. You know, the Little League World Series is going on now, Mike. You're well aware of that.
Yep.
You think back to Clayton Kershaw as a young man. He grew up in the Dallas area. The shift on. Dozier is right there. One down. In fact, Chris Young, former Mariner, went to the same high school that Clayton Kershaw went to, as did Matthew Stafford, the Pro Bowl quarterback for the Lions. In fact, Kershaw and Stafford were the best of friends growing up, and Stafford was Kershaw's catcher in Little League and going up through the high school ranks. Played with the same basketball team together, same baseball team.
I'm going to guess Kershaw didn't play much football.
I don't think he did.
would hope not. Not with a left arm like that.
Seager pops away the first pitch foul. It doesn't make you kind of think twice when you go out and you watch a high school game or a elementary school game. I mean, you never know where these guys are going to be in 15 years.
No chance of knowing what happens, but that's a talented group right there.
Pretty remarkable. 0-2. Matthew Fester recently recalled getting loose in the bullpen. One out, nobody out for Seager. Healy is on deck. Kershaw was spotted with a 5-run lead before he even took the mound. For years, really the only knock on Kershaw was the fact that he did not perform well in the postseason. And namely against the St. Louis Cardinals. If you go back years ago at this point, and the Cardinals knocked Kershaw and the Dodgers out of the postseason in 2013 in the championship series, and again in 2014. And twice the Cardinals defeated Kershaw in the divisional series. We already mentioned how magnificent that 2014 season was for him as he strikes out Seager for round number 2. Look ahead to tomorrow once again. Our CenturyLink What's Next. Felix versus Garrett Cole. Game 1 of 3. The Mariners and the Astros. Very meaningful series. Safe to say our coverage begins at 6:30.
Great numbers for Garrett Cole. Opponents hitting just 188 against him. Things aren't going to get any easier for the Mariners lineup tomorrow.
2 outs, nobody aboard for Healy, who has driven in the only run of the day for the Mariners. And all those postseason questions for Kershaw have really been erased in recent seasons. But if you go back and you listen to his acceptance speech when he won the signing of the MVP in 2014, pretty remarkable how he ended that speech. He said, "My last thank you goes to the St. Louis Cardinals. Thank you for reminding me that you're never as good as you think you are."
Great comment.
For a guy who was basically invincible during the regular season, the Cardinals made him look anything but in the postseason.
Dodgers making an adjustment to their defense. Dozier now playing right about the area where Healy's picked up his 2 base hits.
Goes around to the curveball, 1-2. Soft ground ball out to Chris Taylor, and Kershaw retires his side in order in the 6th inning. On to the 7th. Dodgers have the lead. Jack in the Box this season. A Mariners double play means free jumbo jacks from Jack in the Box. By Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. Now, Stadium Station just across the street here from Safeco Field. Gives you a way to hop on the light rail, get to and from, and get a pitching change. And we saw Matt Festa warming up in the bullpen. He is back up with the Mariners, and we'll work here in the 7th.
Average fastball at 93 miles an hour. Has a slider that he will use.
He made his big league debut right before the All-Star break in Colorado. You can see his numbers there. Called right up from AA Arkansas. Facing Puig. I believe that the first batter that he faced in his big league career was Nolan Arenado. With either the bases loaded or runners at second and third. It was maybe not the easiest way to jump into the big leagues. Especially when a couple of days before you were facing Texas League hitters. Healy on the track, and he can't make the catch beyond his reach. We'll tighten things up. A former 7th round draft pick by the Mariners back in 2016. Festa was the closer down with AA Arkansas. Buck never blew a save. 18 for 18.
Get away with a fastball right there. 94 miles an hour in the middle of the plate.
And Mike, I remember Scott Service made a comment. This was probably a couple of spring trainings ago that I had never thought of. And when you heard him say this, if I remember right, you agreed right away. And that is that it's easier to hit home runs in the big leagues than it is to hit home runs in the minor leagues. Am I remembering this right?
Yeah, I think that I'm trying to remember what started that conversation.
Spring training, probably some young guys, something along those lines.
I think more than anything, and for myself thinking about that, and then when Scott said it also, is it's more conditions. Obviously, the pitching is much better, but you also the conditions, the equipment, everything you have is also a lot better. And most of the ballparks, especially the new ones, they're conducive to the home run. And so I think that you add all those things up. So it's not a big surprise for me when I see a young man that's coming up from the minor leagues to the big leagues, and in maybe a year or two, he's hitting more home runs in a single season than he ever did in the minor leagues. Even though they're going to have a few more games at the major league level also.
Now the Mariners were the first team in baseball to adopt the LED lighting. Remember when that came in, talking with Cano about it, I mean, he was shaking his head saying, oh my gosh, you can't even compare the difference in how much better the lighting is with the LEDs compared to the conventional.
And the amount of lights, right?
Right.
And then you think about the batter's eye also that you have. Just everything about it.
Four pitch walk to Barnes. Couple close pitches there. I'll be sure to stick around after the game for Mariners post game presented by Alaska Airlines. Brad and Bill will be with you. Kershaw spinning a beauty here today. We'll be hearing from Scott Service. 8-1 Dodgers, 1 out, 1 on top of the 7th. One on for Dozier. As this gets to the backstop. And gives Barnes second base.
I would also say that the quality of your bat order at the major league level is probably quite a bit better, which will also make a difference.
This is getting out of play, and it does. So a walk and a wild pitch puts Barnes at second base. Now 2-1 on Dozier. Altuve continued to be on rehab assignment for AAA Fresno in Tacoma. Rainier's leading. No doubt we'll be seeing Altuve in the upcoming series beginning tomorrow against the Astros. Been on the shelf a long time with that knee injury. Now for Festa, today is only his second big league appearance in his Safeco Field debut. The 2-2. Off the hands. Heredia on a bounce. He smothers it. They hold Barnes at third. Runners on the corners.
Pretty good play by Heredia to keep it in front of him. He thought he had a chance to make the catch. Was caught in no man's land. Smothers that in between hop.
Alex Bregman and Martin Maldonado both with solo homers for the Astros. How many home runs we got going on in this game in the Coliseum?
A lot of solo home runs.
Maldonado is a single shy of the cycle as the Astros are doubling up the A's. Gurriel a 3-run homer. Chris Davis has homered twice. Chapman began the first inning, or at least early in the game, with the home run to make it 1-0 A's. Two on, one out for Justin Turner. Turner's been on base 3 times. He's scored a run and driven in a run. That was a 13-game hitting streak. Turner an all-star last year when he hit .322. Oh, he had an OPS pushing .950, and yet he struck out 56 times. That's it.
That is extremely rare, even probably more so in today's game.
Especially for a guy who has really been a major adopter of the launch angle revolution.
Right.
I mean, you kind of automatically pencil those guys in for 100+ strikeouts every year. Lined into left field for a base hit. Barnes scores. And a 1-out walk comes all the way around. Turner is on base for the 4th time. He drives in his 2nd run. It's 9-1 Dodgers.
Stottlemyre his way out to the mound. Nobody getting loose in the pen. The Dodgers 7 for 12 with runners in scoring position.
That seems above league average.
I would say so. They're having a good day.
Dozier into second base now. Turner at first. It's been a tough one today for Scott Service and the Mariners, and it began in the 1st inning when the Dodgers got 5 runs off of Elias. And now the rookie Festa working here in the 7th. Facing Machado. Machado has scored twice, reached on an error, and also singled.
5 batters for 1 first pitch strike, so consistently behind.
Of course, Dodgers got 11 runs in that lopsided win on Friday. Scored 24 runs in this series.
Pitch did not get the call. That was 8 for 14.
Pops him up. Robbie calling for it. Drifts back for out number 2. Brings up Jock Peterson, who has taken over for Matt Kemp. Now, Peterson has never historically really hit for a high average, but does have some power. Jackknife ball 1. Peterson having a very tough month of August. Batting 146. Over to Cano. Robbie handles it easily. And that takes us to the stretch. 9-1 Dodgers. Will stay right here for God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Washington's lottery. Play today. It's on to the bottom of the 7th. Full house here inside Safeco Field. Final game of the series, the rubber game, and it's going the way of the Dodgers. 9-1 Los Angeles. MLB At Bat is your #1 Mariners app. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get the Mariners home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV game of the day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today. Cameron Maben leads it off for the Mariners. Hard hit, but foul over by third base.
Maben 0 for 1. He walked his last time up. Just missed a home run. It's a little bit foul.
Dozier backpedaling. 1 down. I want to look at the Mariners calendar. Of course, tomorrow the Astros come to town. Travel day for the guys on Thursday. Will not be an easy series over the weekend against the Diamondbacks, then onto the Padres, and then the A's. But what a big 4-game series that will be from the Coliseum. Come back home. Mariners' first game month of September will be on the 3rd against the Orioles. Yankees coming to town after that. 0-1 to D. Now, Mike, this matchup today against Kershaw does make me think a little bit. And this might require a commercial break's worth of thought for you, as this is just into the seats. Peterson can't make the catch. I think for a lot of people, especially people who've grown up in the National League, Clayton Kershaw might be the best pitcher they've ever seen pitch in person. So my question to you, who's the best pitcher you have ever seen in person?
Wow. I'll take you up on that commercial break. Because I had 4 names jump into my head right away. So I will have to break that down. D goes down swing.
2 outs. That's not an easy one to answer.
The best pitcher I've seen in person.
Yeah. Take your time. Kershaw is the only pitcher in the history of the game to lead the majors, not just the National League, but lead the majors in ERA in 4 straight seasons, as Heredia is a firm lineout and a very abrupt ending to the bottom of the 7th.
Sports Desk. After the Dodgers leave town, it is an AL West showdown between the Mariners and the Houston Astros, and the Seattle Mariners continue to make coming to the ballpark affordable this summer with value games presented by BECU. This Monday, when the Mariners host the Astros, view level and bleacher seats are just $15, while main and club level seats are just $30. For more information on other value opportunities, well, all you have to do is check out mariners.com/value. Aaron?
Thank you, Angie. Yeah, great deal. Here's Cody Bellinger leading things off. Looking at ball one. Mike, it sounds like you need more time still.
Oh, you're waiting for my answer. Okay, so just what was the question? Just so we're clear.
It's a simple question and yet difficult to answer, obviously. The best pitcher you've ever seen in person.
Yeah, I think that I would go Randy Johnson.
This is in order, just so we're clear.
This is not in order yet. Still working on that. But I'm fine with Randy being at the top of that list. Pedro. When Pedro was on top of his game, it was electric. Just, you couldn't even put him in play. Just amazing. I was always impressed with the career that John Smoltz has had. Being a starter and then premier closer.
A lot of room down the left field line if it can stay fair, and it does. Bellinger hunts for second. His third hit. His first for extra bases.
And then, so we're talking about, obviously, a lot of power and power arms that I had personally seen. And the one that I would probably throw in that mix, too, just because it was just amazing to watch him go about his business and become a Hall of Famer, and he did not have the 95-mile-an-hour fastball, was Greg Maddux. His ability to spin the baseball, move the baseball, his changeup, the way he would pitch inside the left-handers, a little cutter in there and then throw the two-seamer in off the plate and run it back on the corner and almost never make a mistake. That was pretty impressive to me.
So I don't know.
And fortunately, whether it was in the regular season or in spring training, I was able to stand in the batter's box against all of them.
Now, for Maddux, he pitched for nearly a quarter century, right?
Yeah.
23 years. My favorite Maddux anecdote, in the final September of his career, Mike, somebody told him that he had walked 999 batters in his career. And as you kind of referenced, broken bat out to Haniger, puts it away for round number one. Maddux was the master of control, right?
Right.
And he said to himself, there is no way on earth I'm walking 1,000 batters in my career, even if it's 23 years in the big leagues. Mike, he went his final 3 starts without walking a batter and stayed at 999 walks for his career.
Yeah, amazing. It's an amazing career, and I used to marvel at watching him and just make it look so easy, and we talk about it a lot now, and today they can actually put percentages on it, but the amount of weak contact off of him, and because his fastball was, I don't know, 88, 89 miles an hour, you would be so comfortable as a hitter, but you're always walking back to the dugout. It's an amazing career.
Almost strike to Taylor.
I was also handed a piece of paper, and when this list could go on forever, but Mariano Rivera, obviously,
sure.
Somebody with a cut fastball that had that one pitch his entire career and was just dominating with it.
Who was more of a freak, Pedro or Randy? Because Pedro, you look at him and you say, and with that build.
Yeah, I would have to go with Pedro.
But Randy.
But Randy looked like he should throw 100. And he did.
But Randy was throwing 150 pitches every 5 days, striking out 15.
Yeah.
Never had an arm injury.
No, it was more back issues for him. That's why I said I'm fine with him being at the top of the list. Yeah,
sure.
I mean, you know, I was fortunate that I got to watch him strike out a lot of batters. This ground ball goes over to the right side.
That's the covering. Taylor had long slide, but he's out. All on our hashtag #AskRude. Clayton Kershaw and Randy Johnson. How can you compare and contrast these two guys, Mike?
Two dominant left-handers that go about it completely different. Randy's fastball, we mentioned 95 to 100 miles an hour, and he had the hard slider. Now that's something that Kershaw is picking up now, but his fastball at 91, known for the great curveball, although this year he's mixing in his slider a little bit more. But I think it's the biggest difference is just the power of Randy and the ability for Kershaw to command the strike zone. He's in control of the zone, and he has been today. So just two great pitchers, but they are different.
Puig with 2 outs. Bellinger now at third base.
You know, and even to hear you say it now, just because this is kind of the way the game has been going, and it's been that way for a while, and Randy's been retired for a while now, but to hear you say that there's a pitcher that went out there and threw 150 innings in a game,
pitches in a game
is amazing. 150 pitches
like every time, not just an outlier.
He was 140 plus. Yeah. Today people would just shake their head and wonder what you're doing.
Well, I just can't get over with the slider.
Yeah.
And for as long as he pitched, how vicious that particular pitch was and how sliders can just eat up an elbow. Plus the velocity that he had, obviously. How his arm held up.
His work ethic in between starts is like nobody I've ever seen. Aaron, he took such good care of himself, probably because of all that you're talking about. He was aware of that.
Must have been. That is the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Built for baseball. As Clayton Kershaw kind of did what probably we're expecting him to do today.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of run support. Dodgers going out and scoring 5 runs in the first inning, and from there he just took over the game at command. Really used his slider well today. Pretty good curveball too, and his fastball command was excellent overall. It's difficult when he hasn't given up 5 runs all year, and he gets 5 in the first. So I thought it was going to be a tough day, and it certainly was with that type of run support. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts he threw. 88 pitches, 71 of those for strikes. First pitch strikes, you can see 26 batters, 23 first pitch strikes. So just dominating today.
Impressive even by his standards. Daniel Hudson for the 39th time on to work for the Dodgers.
.392 ERA, 40 strikeouts over the 18 walks. Well, it's hitting .217. He's given up 5 home runs this year. His fastball at 95 miles an hour and a slider.
He spent the bulk of his career in the National League, a long time with the Diamondbacks. 6 years, in fact. A couple of years in the American League with the White Sox, facing Zunino. Scheduled to have today off, of course, but an injury to Chris Herman, taking a foul tip off the knee. He had a hard time just getting down the steps to get inside the clubhouse after that inning was over with.
It appeared that he was going to be able to make it down those stairs without some help.
Ball and 2 strikes to the Mariners catcher. On Mike, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Foul tip inside the glove. Barnes holds on. 1 down. Well, Mike, barring a pretty miraculous comeback in this one, the Mariners will drop this series, and for the Dodgers, it'll be their first series win of the month of August. And you start looking at the teams ahead of the Mariners right now. Of course, the Astros coming to town. Mariners will be seeing the A's shortly as well on the upcoming road trip. 13 games combined between the Astros and the A's against the Mariners the rest of the season. And if you're Scott Service and you're Jerry Dipoto, I think Jerry put it well a couple of months ago when talking about trying to map out a season or a month. And that is, everybody wants to plan, right? Everybody wants to win every series, but you also kind of plan and be realistic about things. You're not going to win every series of the season.
Sure.
I think for everybody involved, you're kind of beginning to get to the point of the season where you can fairly ask the question, how many series can the Mariners afford to lose and still have a chance at a postseason spot? I don't know what that answer is, but at this point, you'd have to think not many. It's the bottom line.
You're absolutely right about that, but I think it also is going to depend on that head-to-head matchup and how those
13 games,
those games end up going also. But yeah, you look at it overall, they will have 37 games after today.
And barring a come-from-behind win today, no matter what happens in Oakland, the Mariners will be 4 games back in the loss column in that wild card race. And you look at the teams that the Mariners will also be playing over this final month and change, month and a half. Teams in the division, the Angels and the Rangers, and quite honestly, those teams have given the Mariners some fits at times this year.
Yeah, that can't happen anymore.
6-6.
Not this year. You're not afforded that anymore.
6-6 against the Rangers. Last time they played them, obviously a tough series in Arlington. And Mariners 8-7 against the Angels. And the Rangers, by the way, continue to score almost more runs than anybody since the All-Star break. I mean, they're well out of it. They were sellers, and yet their offense has been humming along. I want to peel down to first. He doesn't go.
I think really you look at it all, you consider how hot the A's have been and then the quality of opponent that the Mariners have had this month and are going to continue to have this month. And can they put something together just to hang in there with a really hot team and a team that had won the World Series last year, Houston. So we're going to find out here quickly, running out of games.
Final 5 series of the season will be against teams from the American League West. 4 in Anaheim, 3 in Houston, 3 in Arlington. And then the Mariners finish with 3 at home against the A's and then finish up for good. I mean, the final series of the season, 4 at home against the Rangers. Now this is how the Mariners stack up against the A's. Okay, so 7 games against the A's remaining. The Mariners 6 against Houston, only 3 left for Oakland against the Astros. And then teams that are contending, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks. Mariners twice as many games. You play 14 games against last place teams compared to just 9 for the A's. I don't know if that balances out or not. Haniger caught looking 2 outs.
Well, I think it goes to your point when you look at the 14 games of last place teams that you're going to have. You have to take care of those games. Talk about the season and things can happen and you can lose series to opponents that aren't playing particularly well. That can happen, but you get to this point, you just can't afford it.
And by the way, Jose Altuve hit by a pitch, by a Mike Morin pitch in his rehab effort today as Cano finds his first base hit of the day, 2-out single. Not sure how serious that was, but serious enough for him to leave. You look at it, the Mariners 2 games in San Diego. The Padres in last place. They're yet to reach 50 wins this year. Although their bullpen has been really pretty good, very good in fact, in the second half. And then of course the Rangers, a last place team. That's part of that. And then the Orioles. Mariners will see Baltimore when they come back after the next road trip. 3 games against the O's. And then 3 against the Yankees. What a series that'll be. I'll be interested in, that'll be, by the way, the Yankees series September 7th, 8th, and 9th. I'll be interested to see if Aaron Judge is back by then. I mean, the wrist injury that he suffered has turned out to be far more serious than the Yankees originally expected it to be. The hope is for him to come back by early September, and that will certainly be early September. And if he is back, what kind of midseason form will he be in after missing so much time?
You would think with him and that swing that he has, when he's healthy enough to swing a bat, it will take some rehab starts, some opportunity to get his timing back.
Hernandez in center field, camps underneath it to end the inning. Off to the 9th. All Dodgers today.
Angie Mentink with you here at the Ford Sports Desk. I like to see how people's lives change over the years. The hashtag to use is where I represented by Alaska Airlines. We get this one from Leslie. 1978 honeymoon in Dodger Stadium. 40th anniversary here at Safeco Field. Congratulations, you guys, on 40 years. And then Sean is here, a little father-son time at their favorite place, Safeco Field. Not a better one out there. And finally, apparently, Mickey told me he's a Mariners fan down there in Dodger country. We got this one as well. The hashtag to use is where I root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Guys, Romine on the hill for the second time in this series.
And this just sneaks in fair. Austin Barnes gets a ground rule double. So number 9 hitter is on base for the 3rd time. Now Romine, his 3rd appearance this season, 2nd this series, spun an inning scoreless on Friday night. So leadoff man in scoring position for Brian Dozier. Mike, you ready for some ridiculous trivia to get us through this 9th inning?
Sure.
From what I can tell, and I actually guess, I did spend time looking this up. In terms of modern era, okay, like let's take it kind of beyond 1902. Let's call it like 1920s to the 30s and beyond. Best as I can tell, which I realize that's a foggy timestamp. Play along. I mean, ish. There's a lot of ish involved in this.
Yeah.
There are 2 members of the 3,000 hit club who have pitched at least an inning in the major leagues. Runners on the corners. Dozier is on base for the 4th time. Ichiro is the most recent. He pitched an inning with the Marlins. And Wade Boggs actually pitched like an inning and change at one point in his career. By the way, Ted Williams also pitched one time in a doubleheader. Not a member of the 3,000 hit club, although it would be easy to believe that he is. Not only did Teddy Ballgame walk a lot, he also missed some pretty prime years serving his country.
Of course.
He had those 2 things together. Turner swats this out to left field. Maben off the top of the wall. Back into the bullpen and gone. (12-1) Dodgers.
For Turner, hit a home run in yesterday's game and make it back-to-back.
Right below the camera. John Lubash having a duck for cover.
So those are the only 2?
In my approximate time window that we discussed. It's best I can find. Now it is worth mentioning, Mike. Stan the Man did pitch in a game and most certainly a member of the 3,000 hit club, but not a full inning, as Machado pretty uncomfortable. I hate to see that.
You can tell by Romine's reaction too that he felt terrible about it. Hopefully it isn't anything that's serious. Romine just trying to find a way to throw some strikes at the back of his hand.
Able to stay in there.
Stand the man.
Not a full inning though, so he doesn't meet the criteria. That's the thing. You got to read the fine print here, Mike. You got to stay with me here.
I'm surprised you didn't change the rules just to make sure you could get him in there. Then really.
Peterson swinging out of his shoes. Zunino puts it away. One out, one on. Here's Bellinger.
Bellinger with 3 hits today.
Now remind me again why you looked all this up. Why you looked this up, Mike. Sometimes you don't need a reason. Aben underneath it. 2 away. Two down for Hernandez, who homered his last time up. Quality strike on one. Now George Sisler made over 20 starts in the majors. A dozen starts. He appeared in over 20 games. But, you know, his career ended in 1930, Mike, which is kind of right where I drew the line. So, unfortunately,
why did you get to draw the line?
George doesn't qualify despite a wonderful career. Jammed him. Cano puts it away for number 3. Well, Turner goes deep with a couple of men on base. Mariners are down to their final 3 outs. to acknowledging one another. Obviously, Romine did not want to do that whatsoever. Felt very badly about it, especially when you consider what Manny Machado means to the Dodgers as they try to make the push towards the playoffs. So no hard feelings on either side, it looks like. Zach Roskup is on to pitch for the Dodgers as Turner takes over at third base for Machado.
Roskup fastball slider, his average fastball at 93 miles an hour. Just 7 appearances for him. 7 strikeouts and 1 walk and 5 2/3.
They put the shift on for Seager right away. Mariners down by plenty as we begin the bottom of the 9th inning. Felix tomorrow against Garrett Cole of the Astros. Beginning the 3-game series. We'll have day baseball, a reminder, on Wednesday. Midweek matinee. The Mariners will hit the road on Arizona.
Arizona in first place. Start of today. Now we'll go down swinging.
Felix, Leak, and then Marco. Gonzalez was scheduled to pitch today. Moved back to help ease his inning load. He's pitching the day game on Wednesday.
I thought it was interesting, the timing of it, but it makes more sense when you hear Scott Service, who was talking about it before the game, getting him a couple of extra days on Wednesday, but because of the off days, that will stretch him out again before his start after that. So it made better sense. He will get Houston on Wednesday.
Isn't it funny when you think about a season ago, the Mariners would have given anything to have a pitcher work enough innings that they had to say, yeah, we got to back this guy off. And they had one qualifying starter, that was Ariel Miranda. And now the Mariners obviously are having to be delicate with Marco Gonzalez. Paxton getting a breather, unfortunately, after being hit in the arm on the DL.
But that was becoming an issue too. They were going to have to try to do the same thing with him.
A couple of punch outs. Mariners' final hope is Cameron Maven. And this is a disappointing Sunday in a game where the Mariners had a chance for a series win against the Dodgers. And for the Dodgers, this will be their first series win of the month of August. We talked about from the very start how important this game, this series was to both sides. And both teams trying to get up to the top of their respective divisions. The Mariners trying to get into the wild card standings once again. And one of those 2 spots, that is. As this ball game ends and the Dodgers win it, a final score of 12-1, and Los Angeles comes in to town and score a bushel of runs, and they take the series 2-1. The Mariners will have to bounce back tomorrow. The first of 3 with Felix on the mound taking on the Astros. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines begins right now. Bill, Brad, it's all yours.
Aaron, Mike, well, thank you very much. Turner, I mean, I guess he'll take the 3-run home run off utility pitcher Andrew Romine. Dodgers do take the series. They bang 10 home runs, matching Turner's uniform number. They outscore the Mariners 27-7 in the 3-game set. Pound out 17 hits tonight. And I guess, Bill, not a whole lot to say. You know it's not going your way when Andrew Romine has got to pitch twice in this series.
Yeah, the use of the EP is not, it's a black mark on the game no matter who's employing it, and then to have it happen twice, with the same pitcher in the same series, I don't think I've ever seen that. But the Dodgers came in, they do what they do. They're patient, they hit homers, and they've got good pitching. You saw some very good pitching from Clayton Kershaw today, as expected. The Mariners really couldn't get it going. Marinus Elias struggles out of the chute and really playing from behind. Not much of a chance today.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Elias making his second start. Does give you 3 innings, but gives up 5 big runs. And to Kershaw, who was rolling today, that was a lot. And the Dodgers again pound out those 10 home runs. How about Kike Hernandez going big yard, big fly to left. Dodgers pound the Mariners today by a score of 12-1. They win this series. We'll have highlights and preview the Astros coming to town the next 3 days coming up.